to the King City Regular City Council meeting, Wednesday, December 17th. And we will begin at 6:11 p.m. All right. First off, let's go ahead and do call to order. Councilor Gearhart.
Here.
Councilor Cunningham.
Here.
Councilor Tyso.
Here.
Councilor Arditi.
Here.
And Mayor Kazmersky here. Within the last week, we have had two councilors resign, Councilor Olson and Council President Braverman recently today. So we will need to add an agenda item. So at this point, I'd like to move that we add as our first agenda item after the Pledge of Allegiance to vote for a new City Council President.
Second.
I'll make a motion to change the agenda to add.
I already made the motion. It was seconded.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think you could.
I can make a motion.
I'm sorry.
I can, yeah. So let's just do a roll call vote here. Councilor Gearhart? Yes. Councilor Cunningham?
Yes.
Councilor Tyso?
Yes.
Councilor Arditi?
Yes.
Mayor Kazmersky? Yes. We'll go ahead and add that in right after we complete our Pledge of Allegiance. So at this point, if we would like to all rise and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we also have Councilor Arditi here in person, and we're so thankful for that. It's a special event.
Special night.
We got our new audio, video stuff up and running today, so hopefully it'll be a good evening. So we do need to vote for council president, so if anybody would like to move to nominate a fellow council member. Councilor Cunningham.
If I get this right, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Councilor Gearhart as council president.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Motion to appoint Councilor Gearhart council president has been moved and seconded, and we will take a roll call vote. Councilor Arditi?
Yes.
Councilor Tyso?
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham?
Yes.
Councilor Gearhart?
I guess.
Mayor Kazmersky? Yes. All right, motion passes 5-0. You get to come join me over here now. Right-hand man. Congratulations. Okay. Welcome to the right side.
And your name tag. Your name tag.
Okay. Next item on our agenda, felt it important to just revisit rules of councilor decorum standards. And so we have linked there our city council, our charter, rules of order, and I have something that I would just like to read, and then I can open it up for discussion. So before we begin, I want to briefly review our meeting procedures. In our democratic system, all council members have equal rights, privileges, and obligations. Those rights are exercised through orderly procedure, recognition by the chair, and respectful discussions and debates. King City conducts its council meetings under Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised as adopted by our municipal code. Under Chapter 2.34, the mayor, as the presiding officer, is responsible for opening the meeting, recognizing members, stating questions, enforcing order and decorum, discouraging personal remarks, and ensuring that debate remains confined to the question before the council. In accordance with King City Code, Section 2.34.110, inappropriate conduct will not be condoned. Meetings will be conducted in an orderly and dignified manner consistent with the city's adopted parliamentary authority. Procedural rulings will be made by the chair. The chair may seek advice from the parliamentarian, Ronnie, and if necessary, at the chair's discretion from the city attorney, Missy, or another council designee. Councilors must be recognized by the chair before speaking, whether in discussion or debate. To assist with recognition, councilors should raise their hand when they wish to speak. The chair will acknowledge speakers in order so everyone can see who is recognized and who will be next. Discussion may occur before a motion is made. However, recognition is still required. The chair may redirect the discussion or seek a motion when the discussion becomes repetitive, unfocused, or is no longer productive. Once a motion is on the floor, the maker of the motion will have the first opportunity to speak. Following that, the debate will proceed in a structured manner to ensure that each counselor has an equal opportunity to be heard. Each counselor may speak no more than twice on a motion for up to 5 minutes each time, and no counselor may speak a second time until all others wish to speak. All others wishing to speak have had the opportunity to do so. Remarks must be germane to the pending question. Personal remarks, attacks on motives, inflammatory language, interruptions, and statements that undermine the council or its proceedings are out of order. Points of order may be raised at any time to address procedure or decorum, and the chair will rule on them immediately. If a member fails to comply with the chair's rulings, the chair will take appropriate action as authorized by the municipal code and the parliamentary authority. I also want to acknowledge that in recent meetings and related communications, there have been interruptions, remarks that were not germane, personal comments, and communications to staff that do not reflect the standards of conduct expected of this body. Council rules prohibit offensive behavior, personal attacks, and conduct that undermines orderly deliberation. These standards apply equally to the conduct during meetings and to communications directly related to city business, council business. When such conduct occurs, the presiding officer has a duty to address it. If a counselor persists in conduct that is out of order after being directed by the chair may ask whether the council wishes to consider a motion regarding discipline, including censure or other remedies authorized by law and council rules. I want to make a note that staff have engaged Jurassic Parliament to work with the city and council to review the current charter and municipal code with the goal of identifying procedural provisions that may be more effectively addressed in a consolidated council rules of procedure document. In addition, later in March 2026, the city will host a training on council meeting procedure and Robert's Rules of Order, tailored specifically for city councils. This training will be available to councilors, staff, including the incoming city manager, and the public to support shared understanding and a consistent application of our procedures. Our goal is a clean, respectful, and efficient meeting that allows council to conduct public business fairly and effectively, and I appreciate everyone's cooperation. At this time, does the council wish to have a short discussion? If so, you may raise your hand.
When will the training be again?
Councilor Gerhart? Council President Gerhart.
When will the training be again? You said March something?
TBD. Would be like end of February, beginning of March.
Okay.
We've got a lot of things to schedule, but that's about the timeline. Especially now that we have 2 vacancies, we want to have everyone on board.
Yeah.
Further discussion? Okay. We'll go ahead and close this matter, move on to our next item of business, which is our city council minutes for September 17th, 2025. There were a couple things I saw, and I'm going to ask our parliamentarian here if this matters or not. Some of the ways that the motion, it says motion passed like 6-0. Should they be 6-0-0 always, or does it matter? Okay, so then the one.
As long as it's recorded.
Okay, so there was one where I had recused myself, but it was listed as an abstention. It was 5-0-1 instead of 5-0. It is, because I recused myself twice. Let's see. It's on page 21. The resolution R 2025-16 supplemental budget. So that one, yeah, just
So
five.
that was the recorded vote.
Yeah, you have it as 5-0-1. I think it should be 5-0-0 with one recusal. Is that correct?
5-0.
0.
No, 5-0-1, because it's 0-0-1.
So then there was one before that where you had listed it, motion passed 5-0 with one recusal. Just make a match, okay. I think that was all that I had for the minutes.
I've got some.
Okay, Council President?
Ronnie, I assume you use some sort of software that converts audio to
Not
verbiage?
always, but yeah, it helps.
So there's under item number 6, there are 3 highlights there. Under Gretchen Boehner, highlight the importance of safeguarding the Bank Basin Conservation Area.
Hmm.
Should be the Bankston.
Kingston.
That was, I think, me typing.
That was definitely the option.
Tell me that. Because I think I saw that like 3 times. Bank Basin,
Probably should say.
Bankston, Basin Conservation Area. And I believe I found that 3 times.
Okay.
Blame it on the software, probably.
Mhm, mhm.
That was it.
Any further edits? Okay, I'll seek a motion to approve with edits.
A motion to approve the minutes for September 17th with the edits.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion on the floor to approve, minutes from September 17th, 2025, seconded by Counselor Tyso.
That's okay.
We'll take a roll call vote. Counselor Cunningham?
Yes.
Counselor Tyso?
Yes.
Council President Braverman? Council President Gerhart?
Yes.
Counselor Arditi?
Yes.
Mayor Cuthbert, yes. Motion passes 5-0. All right, we have no special presentations tonight, so next item up, we have open forum. Open forum is intended to ensure the community has an opportunity to provide input for items being considered on the agenda or make suggestions for future agendas. At this time, the council will be happy to receive your comments pertaining to items on the agenda, with the exception of public hearings for which testimony will be received and conducted in the proper form and manner at the time of the hearing. Each person's time will be limited to 3 minutes. Gretchen?
Good evening, Gretchen Diener, 16585 Southwest Royalty Parkway, resident. I have something fun to talk to you about. 2026 will be the 60th anniversary of the incorporation of King City. A big deal was done for the 50th before I got on the council, so I wasn't really in the middle of it. But they had banners on some streets, and they had a citywide picnic event, and it was a lot of fun. And 60 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought this is something that you as a council would like to see happen again. And I can't tell you the exact date, but it's in June of 26.
Awesome.
So I think that would be great, and that'd be a good way to get.
Would this be at your house?
No, down in the park. That's where the big event happens.
Thank you so much. Great reminder. Greg Russell?
Greg Russell, Rivermead. I'm incorporated in Washington County. I've been coming to a lot of the council meetings and planning meetings since the preliminary concept plan in 2018. And I must say that it is a pleasure working with the new city council, mayor, and a proposed new manager that not only takes the time to listen to the constituents and neighbors, actually follows through on the recommendations. If you can move forward with a grant application for the kayak launch project, a new connector road closer to Beef Bend Road that avoids the Banks Nature Preserve, and get approval for a King City branch post office, it will be looked upon in a very favorable way by the community. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. That closes our in-person,
So Mike Meyer, Kingston Terrace, and I just wanted to acknowledge Greg's comments, and I wholeheartedly agree with this change of pace. And also, 60 years ago, I was too, walking the stairs at King George with my great-grandparents. So I just want to talk about what's on the agenda tonight, and that's the, and I want capacity. But I would like to suggest, somebody mentioned it was like $130,000. Would like to suggest that, we prioritize, the things that are most important to the city right now. Take that into consideration. Sure, it costs a lot more to put in. It's just a shame that we got to now take it out. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody online that would like to provide comments? Debbie?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
Hello? Oh dear. This isn't any easier. I would like to bring up a couple of meetings ago, Councilperson Braverman brought up something to do with the local farmers markets and the food trucks. And I would like to find out the process and if there is any interest in doing a farmers market. I think it would be very advantageous for King City. I think the residents would enjoy it. I think it'd be good for local businesses. And I'd like to pursue it. And I was just curious the steps I would need, and do I need to go to the planning committee or the council to see if there's an interest or a way to get it done? And that was it.
All right, thank you very much. We will look into that for you.
I can address that.
Go ahead and address it in the report. All right, any others online? Great. If you are watching online and you would like to provide public comment, please raise your hand now. Hearing none, we will go ahead and close open forum. We will move on to unfinished business. The first item there, and only item, unfinished business, is our TSP relook update. And Max, I'm assuming you're
Mayor. So a couple days ago, I received a draft RFP from pretty detailed, technical. I did want to at least provide the council with the summary of the scope, sure that it addresses everything was thought so far, and I think it does. So I'll just read the kind of opening statement. The City of King City's current TSP was adopted in June 2023, serving as a model framework to guide development in the future and through 2045. Work needed to complete several updates includes, but is not limited to, the following: analyze data from TSP and alternative analysis, changes needed to the east-west multimodal circulation, assuming Southwest Fisher Road, consider options for Southwest 137 connections from King City, East Bend analysis with current housing figures already approved by King City, which amounts to 1,556 units, determine feasibility for alternatives to Bankston property extension, analyze traffic along Southwest Royalty, Southwest Prince Albert, and Southwest 131st Avenue, to determine the effects of connecting Southwest Fisher Road to Southwest 137th Avenue. Assist the city staff with interagency coordination, assist the city staff with public outreach, including open house and public hearings, and perform the necessary code amendments and TSP edits to reflect the amendments. Does that pretty much cover everything that the council wanted to address with the TSP update?
Yeah, I mean, sounds like what we had talked about last time.
Yeah, so I'll have to touch base with the engineer. It sounds a bit the RFP finalized by end of the year, early January, and then it'll go through the process, and we might be able to hire a consultant as soon as. Oh, yeah. Anyone have any questions? Councilor Tyson?
Councilor Tyson.
Is it possible for us to have Ronnie email us that report that you have?
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing it, but I want to
Right.
actually see it.
Also just a draft,
Yeah,
But yeah, I can certainly have Ronnie send it to you.
thank you.
Any further questions? All right, thank you very much, Max. Moving on to new business. First item, we have engagement of Nancy Werner, Bradley Werner firm to negotiate telecommunications franchise agreement with Ziply Communications. So you guys have seen in our packet that we do have an engagement letter. We have not engaged Nancy Werner yet, and I'm going to let Missy give a background information on why this would be a good step for the city.
There, much detail as the council would like, but, basically, the Multnomah Metropolitan Area Communications Committee generally handles franchises for the city and 14 other cities and counties in Washington County. And earlier this year, Ziply worked with MACC to terminate its cable franchise in King City. However, Ziply also operates a telecommunications non-cable franchise. MACC took a look at it and determined that it was at best unclear whether Ziply actually has the necessary franchise authority to operate telecommunications franchises. Asked me to take a look at it. I took a look at it and promptly concluded he would be best served by an expert in franchise law, which I am 100% not. And so what I'm recommending is that the city hire a franchise expert who is Nancy Werner, who represents a lot of other cities in negotiating franchises. I think that the city will end up in a much better place with Ms. Werner on the other side. I talked to a few other firms, the Barry Elser firm. They also refer their clients out to Ms. Werner when they need telecommunications franchises negotiated. It's a very complicated area of federal law and federal regulations that no one really has a specialist in.
And so to piggyback on that, because we've had this conversation, so ultimately it will save the city money to enter into an agreement with Ms. Werner because she is already familiar with the franchise law, whereas you would have to spend a lot of time, like, figuring it out, right?
There, this is true. It's city money. And also, I mean, it's a two-pronged win for the city, I think, because hiring an expert in the field will tend to make the negotiations go more smoothly and more quickly than if the telecommunications company was working with a novice like me in the area, learning as I go. And I just don't think that serves the city best.
Does council have any questions for, Councilor Cunningham?
Do you estimate how many hours she might spend doing this? How long it will take?
You know, I did ask Ms. Werner, Councilor, and she thought, you know, all lawyers say don't hold me to it, but she thought maybe 10 to 20 hours, so not a lot for the franchise fees that will be coming to the city.
Thank you.
And once she's engaged, I'm, you know, very encourage the council to ask her if she wants to Zoom in so that you can meet her and you can get a much more detailed explanation of this than I could ever possibly give you.
Thank you.
Further questions?
So just to clarify, that what is in the packet is addressed to our firm because Ms. Werner did not have an address for King City at the time I reached out to her, but we wanted to get it processed because she's being really sought after.
Yeah, Council President.
So, we're asking her to evaluate Ziply as to their ability to provide services to us, the city.
Counselor, not exactly. Ziply is already operating in the city. They're the successor of interest to Verizon's assets, but Verizon, complicated, but Verizon is operating pursuant to an ordinance that's adopted in 2004 because they couldn't reach a contractual agreement with Verizon, but the current franchise ordinance doesn't and to Zipley as the successor of Verizon assets. And so essentially Zipley is operating, it's got lines in the, I don't know if they're in the ground or above, underground thing. It's got lines in the city, and so it needs permission to have those lines, and it needs to pay the city. Put them in the.
So this is the same Zipley fiber as we have connected to our house end.
Question.
Counselor Lee?
Comcast also has a contract right now with, our area, the Highlands. Would this abrogate that contract? Was this an exclusive contract with Zipley, or how would that work?
That is a question that I'm not prepared to answer tonight, but my understanding is that each telecommunications company operates its own has its own franchise agreement with the local government and to run its lines in the local government property right of way. So my guess is that there is a Comcast franchise agreement.
With Edgewater? Does Edgewater have any sort of agreement? What does
Well,
Edgewater use, or do we know?
So the franchise really is basically is permission from the city for the telecom company to use the city's property,
Okay,
city-owned property.
okay. And then it's up to the individual, if it's an organization like the Highlands, they made a deal with Comcast, and portions of our HOA fees are cable dues.
Okay.
So we get a break on the cable because we do that. So we wouldn't want to change that.
Right.
My
Okay.
understanding is it probably wouldn't change it, it just gives the option of, right? Like, it just allows them to be in King City, but it doesn't force King City residents to use them.
Correct,
Yeah,
absolutely
okay,
correct.
yeah.
Yes.
Further questions, Counselor Cunningham?
They wouldn't be able to force us, they wouldn't be able to force Highlands to use Zipley if they have a contract with contract. They'll run side by side.
Yes, the lines, all the lines are,
Yes,
they run side by side.
thank you. They don't, but yes, thank you.
Theoretically.
Further questions?
This conversation definitely displays why it's a good idea to hire Nancy Warner.
Under our contracting rules, can we move to, approve this engagement letter as we see in our packet, or do we need a separate resolution?
You can hire a city attorney by a motion with a majority vote, and, you don't need to approve the engagement letter.
Okay.
The direct appointment under your contract rules that were just amended earlier this year in June, that Mr. Tronky helped with.
Okay, so at this time, if somebody would like to make a motion to engage Nancy Werner, to negotiate telecommunications franchise agreement with Zipley, that would be great. Counselor Tyso?
I move that we engage Nancy Werner of Bradley Werner to negotiate telecommunications franchise agreement with Zipley.
Is there a second?
Patients.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Council President. Motion on the floor is to engage Nancy Werner of Bradley Werner Firm to negotiate telecommunications franchise agreement for Zipley Communications. Anybody have further discussion? Okay, we'll go to a vote. Counselor Cunningham?
Yes.
Counselor Tyso?
Yes.
Council President Gearhart?
Yes.
Counselor Lee?
Yes.
Mayor Kazmarsky? Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, next we have our November financials.
Jim Closer.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. I'll just highlight a couple items in the financial memo, if that's okay. And then here is also on the call for any details. But a couple things I wanted to highlight, you'll see a pretty significant spend in the current month, which is November, in the street fund. That's for all the 2025 street improvements, $399,000 paid to bricks.
I don't have the list of street improvements in front of me, but I'm sure we can go through that if we need to. And then we had noted that we would expect revenue to increase in November with property taxes. Those payments are just slightly delayed. We started receiving them and you can see we were dollars to date. So you haven't seen that catch up that we promised in November, but you will see it. Comments, concerns? Councilor Tyson? Councilor Tyson?
Oh, you're gonna do the audit thing next, correct? So, yeah, and I do have a comment to make when you, after you do that.
Yes, David, I believe David was on the phone for our next agenda item. Any further questions on November financials? Or do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the November financials.
Second.
Discussion, any further questions, raise your hand. Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilor Arditi?
Yes.
Council President Gerhart?
Yes.
Councilor Tyso?
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham?
Yes.
And Mayor Kazmersky, yes. Motion passes 5-0. All right, next up, we do have our fiscal year 2024 audit presentation and discussion. Maybe again?
Ronnie,
Or-
is David on the phone or, trying to get him to go?
All right. Begin with David, Polly Rogers.
Summarize it, yes, David was Polly Rogers as well.
Add some color at the end.
Good evening. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for having me this evening. So my name is David Bledsoe. I'm one of the audit managers with Polly Rogers Company. I'm here to present the results of the fiscal year ended 2024 audit. If I could direct the council's attention to the management letter, I believe that was provided in your packets, hopefully.
Yes, we have it.
Wonderful. So I just want to start by going through the kind of the results of the audit. These are the kind of big ticket takeaways and findings. On the first page, we do have two items that we consider, well, one of them is on the first page, but there are two items that we consider to be significant deficiencies. These are items that are suggestions about improving the system of internal controls of the city in ways to kind of bolster the financial reporting environment. The first one relates to historically how adjusting journal entries have been documented. These are manipulations of the district or the city's books in ways that your staff deem needed, such as reclassifying expenditures between certain items or the journal entries. This is a historic practice that has been updated. So currently the practice has been improved, consistent with recommendations we've given similar to this in the past. Again, this audit is reflective of the period ending June 30th, 2024. So your staff have already begun to make improvements responding to this comment. The second one is kind of a similar item. It relates to bank reconciliations. This one highlights the timing of the bank reconciliations. We generally like to see from an audit perspective that those are reconciled within anywhere between 30 and 90 days, depending on the type of account and really when it occurs. Again, this is something that has been rectified presently through updates to the city's controls. After that, on the following pages, we do have some recommendations that we do not consider deficiencies, but are just more broad general recommendations. The first one relates to governing body monitoring, that is your monitoring. The city does a good job articulating what practices you do, both in public sessions as well as work committees, about overseeing the financial control environment. This is just a reminder to continue that good practice and consider evolving that in the future. There's not a specific recommendation on how to do that, just a reminder to keep doing the good work. The second one is something that I talked to every municipality in Oregon about. The reality is these state insurance carriers, they have a maximum amount of insurance you can carry over your cash balances. You do have more cash than you are insured for. So in the event of a misappropriation of assets, your insurance carrier would only make you whole to a partial extent. Again, this is something that every entity in Oregon deals with. Your coverage thresholds are in line with other entities. And you cannot actually get enough insurance to cover your balance of cash at the end of your fiscal year. The third one is not unlike the first two deficiencies we talked about, but not quite as broad. It's related to grant reimbursements. The grant reimbursement process for the fiscal year we're looking at was not quite as formalized as we would like to see. That is, someone putting down whether it's wet ink initials, signing it, an email chain, meeting minutes, something more substantive documenting the review process. And the last item that we have to discuss is a small item with our review of compensated absences, that is vacation accruals. We know one employee whose accruals had a little bit of a arithmetic issue behind it. It was not what we refer to as material, so it's not throwing off your books in any way that's going to be concerning. Just as a highlight to apply a second set of review to those numbers. Outside of that, we have very clean audit. The city received what we refer to as an unmodified or a clean opinion on the audit. That means your books were prepared consistent with generally accepted accounting practices. Everything was in order. Outside of the items we discussed, there were no large issues to discuss to the council. I'm happy to walk you through the numbers to the extent you're interested. They can be very obtuse to read, mainly due to things like pension obligations. From a high level, the state has an indebtedness to its active employees and retirees to pay out pension obligations. The state is underfunded in that regard, so a portion of the state's liabilities passed down to participatory entities such as yourself. That does drag down what we refer to as your net position. The net position also includes things like capital assets as well as lease obligations that result in an asset value to you, such as the asset you get to renting a truck, for instance, with an associated liability to pay for that vehicle. Your fund balance is strong at your net position is $9.8 million. So you're healthy there, and you did have an approval on your fund balances that you can control. That is your general fund, your street fund, so on and so forth. We did see strong growth there. Your general fund, for instance, increased $1.1 million to an ending fund balance of $3.6 million. Again, these numbers are reflective of the year ended June 30, 2024, and that has changed over the period of time, right? Since you're now looking at your fiscal year ended 26, and also probably started the budget process for fiscal year ended 27 currently. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have about the results of the audit or kind of how to understand the numbers.
I'll open it up for questions. Okay, so you mentioned you might have a question.
I think it's more of a comment that about division of responsibility, and we are have such a small staff of like only 2 people in the financial department that it's almost impossible to do some of the things that you point out as faults in how we run our city.
Yeah, you're exactly right. In a general basis, we like to see, and from an academic perspective, 3 individuals involved in any financial process. That is kind of the minimum needed to create a robust control environment. That is 1 person to initiate a process, 1 person to finish it, and a third that's independent of that to go in and say, yep, this makes sense, and hit approve. As you mentioned, you really only have 2 people day to day, so 2 is short of that 3. So this is not unlike comments that I give to a lot of other small entities. I work with entities ranging from districts that have 3 employees all the way up to several thousand. So it can be very different looking at municipality size as you relate to these comments.
So I can speak to that a little bit as well. In February of 2025, so a few months after I was brought on, we implemented the process that you had mentioned earlier, where in Cassell, you are not allowed to, there is a separate process and then journal entries. Have a more robust process to Mira and Diana can approve their own, but if it's more reclasses that they do, if there's anything that really impacts the financial statements, it's me initiating them and then Mira. So we have added that kind of 3rd layer as of February 2025. So obviously, Cunningham.
Does the city manager play a role in this? In the audit, in this 3-part approval process and expenses and?
They can.
reimbursement,
And in
yes.
fact, with the new city manager having a more of a financial background, I would expect.
Thank you.
So question,
Council President?
David. So for a city our size, we're in pretty good shape. Is that what I understand?
Yeah. Big takeaways. We do have a couple small items about these deficiencies, as Katie mentioned, that you're already well on your way, if not having corrected those for the period of time which we're speaking now. As far as financial status looks like, you do have both a healthy fund balance, that is your governmental funds, the ones you budget for, the ones you actually control the spending of. Those are healthy. They are positive. Your net position, which includes your capital assets and your pension obligations, that also notes nearly a $10 million balance of your assets exceeding your liabilities.
So my experience is in internal audit people, you always trust them. If you can't trust you guys, who can you trust?
Yeah.
Councilor Davey, did you have a question or comment?
No, is Polly Rogers any related to Roy Rogers, county commissioner?
Yeah. Roy's the managing partner for the firm and also the partner in the engagement.
And you work for them?
Yeah, I work for Roy.
You know a man named Don Fraser?
I think actually no, I was thinking of the wrong Don. I'm not sure I know Don Fraser. I know the Don Staley, but he retired recently.
Claire is reminded to keep it germane to the topic.
That's it.
I have a comment. It will be really nice when we're looking at our current audit, so that we're not thinking, when was this? So very excited to be closer to being caught up on those. Going back to the best practices that we talked about. So one of the things was we have more cash or investment balances that exceed our insurance. Is that something that we can fix? What deal with that, or have we fixed it since then?
The majority of the funds are sitting in the Oregon.
Yeah, so sorry if I'm overspeaking, Katie. The audio is a little hard to hear from where her microphone's placed, but to kind of give that some more legs, that the majority of cash balances are housed in the local government investment pool that's run by the Oregon State Treasury. That's where the majority of municipalities house their funds. That fund run by the state treasury buys things like 3-month interest bills from the United States government to invest that money to return some kind of a positive yield to you. This comment doesn't refer to that. Your balances are insured to the extent that the state and the FDIC are involved. This relates mostly to folks in your business office. It's important to know that we're not necessarily alluding to anyone doing this or suspected of this, but the reality is if funds were to be misappropriated, your insurance carrier would only pay out so much. So an easy way to think about this is if you have a house with $1 million of cash in it, but you only have an insurance policy for $750,000. If your house burns down, you're only getting it $750,000 back instead of $1 million that's inside your house. The state carrier does max out at $1 million, so the exposure risk is not unlike any other entity of size in Oregon.
And then the grant reimbursement, I know a couple of the other things you said, at this point, those things have been rectified. I'm kind of wondering if it's the same with that. Is the evidence of review and someone, like, has that been rectified since the 2024 audit?
Yeah, my understanding is that it's important to note that since we're presenting the 2024 audit here in December of 25, the recommendations were kind of fielded as we went during the audit process. So there could be a situation where something was done earlier than our recommendation for a future period. So as Katie mentioned, they've been evolving the processes as we've kind of been bringing things up along the way. So after we kind of brought that up, I know they revamped that and intended to make a process a little bit more robust so we can see the good work and the practice that the employees are doing. The audit's kind of done from a trust but verify perspective. So, we can trust that everyone is doing the processes as designed, but unless there's documentary evidence of that, we just have an omnibus to report that there wasn't documented evidence of that. Not that is to say it wasn't happening, but we're just going to prove it.
So the goal would be that we don't have that on the 2025 audit also.
Yes, I believe the specific thing David's talking about, and here I can speak to it if you want to run into the details. It has something to do with Mike gathered the data and submitted for reimbursement for a grant. And so there was a second layer
And then there was number 4, compensated leave liabilities. Can you just explain that? I was confused about what that is referring to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So we have a spreadsheet that calculates based on the number of hours for, specifically for vacation, comp time, and holiday. Those are the three buckets of hours that are paid out upon termination. So for GAAP purposes only, you have to report a liability. It has nothing to do with budget accounting. It has nothing to do with the actual balances that employees have for these items. It's a spreadsheet error that caused a miscalculation, about a $500 impact. So it was simply a spreadsheet calculation error that trickled down into GAAP financials. And again, had nothing to do with the actual recording of the hours.
Great. Thank you for explaining that further. I was not following. Those were all the questions that I had. Does anybody have further questions on the audit?
I have a request, if it's appropriate.
Yes, please.
So as a result of the 2 significant deficiencies that were noted in the letter, the council specifically has to approve in a meeting the corrective actions associated with those items. And so in order to meet the 30-day requirement for that, that's due to the state by January 2nd.
Okay.
Because the report was filed December 3rd. So I need to request a special, like a Zoom meeting to just, so I can prepare the document for formal.
Okay.
I don't know how we schedule that.
Is that something we can do add to this meeting to?
We don't have the letter that you can actually.
The letter that you prepare for us is just outlining the corrective steps based on this audit, and we say, good.
Yes, this is how we address it, this is when we address it, or when we plan to address it, all the things that we just discussed. We just need to document that out.
Counselor Cunningham? Yes.
Does it require the whole council, or can the mayor take care of it, or can the council president take care of it?
Oh, I think it's probably a vote of the council.
It's the governing body.
Yeah. But assuming that it's kind of what we discussed and we've asked questions about, this should be a Zoom meeting that takes 10 minutes. Yes.
It needs to be a resolution.
The one who prepares resolutions will attach that to the letter. Wonderful. Well, let's go ahead and open our calendars and see if we can, as you said, before January 2nd. And at what point do you think you would have it prepared? Should we look at the week after Christmas where we can pop in? Would that be fine?
Yeah, I can have it ready as soon as this Friday.
Oh, okay. I can do a quick Zoom this Friday.
I'm shaking my head because I'm out of town from the 19th to the 22nd.
Okay.
26th. You only need a quorum also to be able to approve it.
Okay.
Just as a reminder, which is
It's free right now. Okay. Would everybody else be available on the 19th?
Yep.
Time,
What time would work for you?
afternoon, later afternoon.
4 p.m.?
It's Friday?
Friday?
Yeah.
Friday the 19th?
No, I can't do that, sorry.
Not at all on Friday the 19th? But Counselor Gerhart can Counselor Cunningham? So we have a quorum. Are we okay with moving forward with that? Okay. Let's go ahead and do the 19th. What time works best for you?
Let's do it in the morning.
That's fine with me. What time works for you?
Anytime.
Can we do 10 a.m.?
Yep.
Are we gonna come?
Is the camera on or camera off Zoom?
Actually, at 10 a.m. on Friday, I can.
You can pop it. Okay, let's do a special session, 10 a.m. Friday. Does that give us enough notice? Public notice?
Are we coming in person?
No.
We're all gonna Zoom.
Yes. But I believe we do need to have chambers open. But council will attend via Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay. At 10 a.m. Friday the 19th. Good. Do we need to do anything else with the audit, or is that just presentation? All right, we will close out that item and move on to discuss and consider 131st Avenue issues. 131st has been a road consistently complained about for speeding and, school traffic. So staff has done a wonderful job discussing different options that we might have to improve that. And, so I'll turn it over to Max. Are you gonna talk to us about this, or Ronnie, potentially? These two options?
I believe Chief has the figures in front of him, but I do want to just mention that go over were calculated by the city engineer when we
Mm-hmm.
You mean the full length of it?
I believe it was to about Dixon,
Yeah, 600 feet.
Okay.
Dixon to just about where the elementary school is.
basically to allow for like a turn lane.
There's one really long one and then a few smaller ones. So discussing the long one, again, Dixon and the elementary school.
There are two figures. One is if we completed this project standalone, which is what Mr. Minor was referring to for $130,000. There is also another estimate that we were given if we included it along with street improvements. So
it's cheaper because it costs money to mobilize when you get these construction companies out. So we already have construction on site with all these money.
So that figure looks like $86,250, which is significantly reduced from the other option. This is a question that I asked, but we do have money in the budget for something like this in 2026.
Yes, for the street improvements that I put together, that's the proposal for, doing work, regular, whatever streets we've got identified. Do it. Recommend.
And so that's what we were looking at, was a time when, whether it's advantageous for the people that are going to be repaving, I mean, what street is 2026. And so, to be able to do that all just kind of one fell swoop, it just takes time.
So to clarify, we already have a list of priority street improvements for next year that have been approved, but we can add this on, not go over budget.
So generally what happens is that the city will hold a meeting with the city engineer. Long project list.
Yeah.
When you add that under project, budget is pretty rich. So we'll have to sacrifice some street that needs to be repaved in order to accommodate taking out the median on 131st. And then again, it's usually a pretty broad list, and it gets narrowed down to only a handful of streets pretty much every year because our budget is so low.
Councilor Tyso?
What will we actually accomplish by removing the meridian on 131st?
So the congestion issue right now is due to mostly pertaining to the elementary school for pickup and drop off. And Ronnie and I were looking at some historical photos earlier today, and I think I don't know the exact timeline, but somewhere between they put in this median in the middle of 131st leading up north to the elementary school. Prior to the median being installed, there was a turn lane that was there, and so the median completely encompasses where that turn lane used to be. The idea of having the median is that it serves as a traffic control to narrow the right of way to basically encourage people not to bomb down the street. So in order to rectify that, staff's recommendation, if we do take out the median, is we would also need to install some lights, some speed speedometers, and some, bumps and things like that. But that was the idea of installing the median in the first place, was to narrow the right of way. And it had the unintended consequence of creating massive congestion problems. But the lane that did exist, there's still room for it because the pavement wasn't shrunk and none of the sidewalks were expanded or anything. So taking out the median would just reopen a lane that.
Councilor Cunningham?
I have a comment about that. It will also cause the school buses that are going north on 131st and then going to the neighborhood out to East Bend and back down to the school in order to get to the school. It'll take those school buses out of KCCA, Prince Albert specifically.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, as a resident that uses that road frequently, yes, in the morning when I'm taking my kids to school, if I get stuck in the wrong spot, you can't even turn around. You're just waiting and waiting and
Exactly right. So it will relieve the complaints that we have on Prince Albert as well.
Council President?
Prior to the median, were there bike lanes on both sides?
Yeah.
There were?
That's what I thought. Yeah. It's not there.
Okay. So, and those bike lanes won't change or go away or anything, not that I care. Anyway. I assume a project like this is, plenty of notice given to the neighbors, everybody that lives around there, so that they can participate maybe in a planning meeting or something.
Sure.
Because I think
I don't think that's something that's been done regularly in the past, but if people want to come out, we could hold a work session at the planning commission or another meeting at the planning commission.
Seems like
Give people a chance for public involvement. I mean, because the typical notice for street construction is not really that robust.
Sure. Seems like if that would have been done in the first place, that there probably wouldn't be a meeting there now. I guess.
Further comments? Councilor Dede, do you have anything to add?
A couple things. I'm just looking at the numbers here. So the estimate for the removal is $129,000. Is that right?
As, if it was done as a standalone.
I've lived there for 13 years, and I think most of the people in the Highlands wish that had never been put in. So I'm all for removing it.
We'll also probably save the money, save the city a little bit of money through maintenance.
Yeah.
We have to manicure it and irrigate it and,
Is this something that we can, what is our next step? Do we approve this? Do we ask city staff to add it to the list of improvements for next, like what would be our?
add it to the RFP as a top priority.
Councilor Tyson?
That meridian in part acts as a sponge for rainwater, et cetera. So what will we do once we remove the meridian to help offset the meridian's sponge action that's no longer going to be there?
Flooding would likely be worse on 131st going down the Fisher. Because you're right, it's a catch basin, and when you're removing pervious surfaces and replacing them with asphalt, then you're just funneling the water down.
Do we remember how big of an issue that was prior to 6 years ago? I don't.
I've never seen it. Been here almost 20 years.
Right, I was gonna say, I don't think it's been historically an issue.
Outside of Fisher, east of 131st, that kind of corner pocket there. But that's storm drains getting clogged with leaves, so.
Councilor Tyson?
Is that something that you can ask the city engineer about, whether we need to put some kind of catch basin in farther down the 131st towards Fisher? Or, I mean, you know, the environmentalist in me is sort of objecting a little bit, or wanting to find a solution.
I can certainly ask the city engineer what his opinion is.
Okay.
Isn't there a catch basin already on the west side of 131st that's fenced in as a black fence around it?
That's correct, yeah, there's a clean water service.
Yeah.
Swale right there, right by this home development. I haven't done the topography of that area off the top of my head, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm saying.
Right, so do we need a vote to have it added to our list of top priorities, or just the consensus generally? Okay, at this point,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the cost estimate for the Southwest 131st Meridian improvement and add it to the list of other road repairs this summer.
We hear a second?
I'll second it.
Motion, the seconded, motion on the table is to approve the cost estimate for the 131st Street median improvements and add to the list of street projects for 2026.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to Councilor Beauty.
Yes.
Council President Gearhart.
Yes.
Councilor Tyson.
Yes.
Councilor Cunningham.
Yes.
And Mayor Kazmersky, yes. All right, thank you. Okay, moving right along. Next item, authorize mayor to execute the city manager's employment agreement. We don't have the employment agreement ready to have you authorize the mayor. But I was gonna add this into my, my mayor's report, but you all have been given the term sheet. So, the city and, Vincent First, we have gone back and forth in negotiations, and this term sheet is what we have generally, agreed to. Mr. Ferrer and myself have initialed it as good faith. This is, you know, what we have agreed to and moving forward with. There are still some, potential just edits to the agreement, that Mr. Ferrer's attorney will be sending, to Missy. So, we don't have an employment agreement yet to execute, but this is generally the terms of agreement that will be in that. And then, Missy, if you can remind me, were we wanting to wait for the background? Next, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
So, there is a background check that's underway, that is being, run by the city. The background, it's an investigation company, told me today that he will plan to have a report to me by December 24th. It's much quicker than he originally promised, so that's good. And then, yes, we've been working hard on this. A lot of quick phone calls and lots of late night emails and moving people on. These are basically the potential agreed upon terms pending the background report. The charter and the code do require the city council to approve by resolution fix the compensation and benefits for the manager. And so what we're hoping is that by resolution, when the employment agreement is ready, and we've asked Burns' attorney to get any comments that he has to me by tomorrow. Otherwise, he doesn't have the agreement. So that we can finalize that and then put a resolution before the city council to fix the compensation. But we did want to, I think, the mayor wanted to keep the council up to speed on sort of the negotiations are basically finished, all of the main terms.
Do you recommend we wait for the background to come in before we approve that resolution?
Yes.
For the salary?
I think it would be a more efficient use of the council's time there and, just not putting the cart before the horse. And then it can be very simply done in a resolution. I think perhaps, maybe having a special meeting right after the holidays when the kids go back to school, like on January 5th, or something like that would be a good target date.
And this would be just another quick Zoom resolution. So since we're already having one on Friday, could it make sense to approve a resolution pending, or no? Is that too convoluted?
The resolution could fix the compensation and benefits. So the council could adopt a resolution that's consistent with the code that fixes the compensation and the benefits, but says that the mayor isn't authorized to sign the employment agreement on behalf of the city until the background check is received and, approved by the mayor.
So could we then, it seems like in my mind it would make sense for us to just do both on Friday and then authorize the mayor to execute or authorize the employment agreement once the background comes in, and then we wouldn't need another
That's correct.
session, right?
That is definitely an alternative.
Do we feel okay doing that? looping that into Friday? Okay, we'll make it a 15-minute meeting?
Good idea.
Yeah.
I believe the code states that a special session is only allowed one.
We've had multiple items on special sessions before. So do we close one session and open another? We've had special sessions that have had tons of items because we've had too many items to discuss in regular session.
That's gonna be an interpretation.
Keith and I were having a sidebar.
Yeah.
I wasn't completely.
I believe the code somewhere, it states that a special session is only supposed to have one item. Is that?
I don't.
I'm just double checking, but.
I want to say, I feel like it says a special session, you can only consider items on that agenda, like you can't amend it to add.
In the past, I do have to say that we've had several items on a special meeting. But at one point, Ed told me that we were only allowed to have one item on the agenda. It was back in.
Councilor Cunningham?
Can we have 2 special sessions, one at 10 and one at 10:15?
Would that fix our problem?
Let's just say we can, okay?
So, it says in your code 2.40.040, a special meeting notice shall include the list of all subjects to be considered. Only those subjects listed may be considered as a special meeting. So I think we're good.
Cool. So let's go ahead and add both. We'll do our audit resolution and then the resolution to, set the salary and benefits and then authorize. And that way, once the background check comes in, then we can. Councilor Didi?
Question.
Yep.
I think we had talked about a performance review. Was that discussed with him at all? Because
Yes.
it's not on this.
It will be in the employment agreement.
Okay.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, salary here, remember what our range was? What was
It was 145 to 170.
And is this like in between or?
This is about the midpoint of the midpoint. It's a 5, it represents a 5% from the base.
Okay.
What is the incentives for raises?
I think that annual merit increase at King City's sole discretion. There is, allows for annual COLA, which I believe is 4%, and then, based off of performance reviews, could be, salary increase, bonus, or, additional leave, and
What was the top, 145 to what?
170.
There's plenty of room for him to.
Yep. Yep. Further questions? All right. Moving right along, sidewalk update.
So we've been, working on, identifying so we've been looking at hotel tax that we can take. And, well, right now, it's, there's supposed to be a legislative fix coming up where I think it could be 4%. It's not a lot of money, it's like $9,000 a year, and so it's not a large right now, but one of the things I'm, with the idea, possible that city could look at matching funds, hotel tax, say up to $10,000. To go ahead and add to that. We're trying to go back and trace the money as far as, if we can go back 3 or 5 years and pull more money, from our federal fund and say, okay, this is our starting pool. But, I just wanted to float the idea of, hey, can we do a match, as a city up to, including 10,000. Then the only other thing that I look at is, in other cities have done it, is they're able to raise fees. We're not able to do that right now. And so one of the things I floated, and I know what I'm doing, but it's an idea, is a gas tax, it's a city gas tax that's, it could be a penny. The amount of gas stations here will fund a lot of sidewalk repairs. And so, it's, I mean, millions of gallons of gas that we're pumping here in Kansas City between the two stores. And so it could be, you could set the amount of it, but I was thinking, between 1 and 3 cents. I mean, the city where I used to work, they've done it, and, nowhere near the traffic that we have here. It raises 3 cents a gallon, raises over $300,000 a year and stuff. So it does a lot. It's, something to consider. I know it's a hot topic in today's politics and stuff, but it's something to consider on top of what we have already. We just have a little money. This could raise a lot.
Question. So does it have to go to the voter?
Yes.
But for sidewalk repair,
You could specifically state in your measure that is drafted.
I think that'd be popular.
Sidewalk and street repair.
Councilor Cunningham?
How do we decide who gets to repair their sidewalks? How do we decide that issue?
So there's the other part of it, is you look into one, and the charter is really plain and simple. It's the homeowner's responsibility to fix the
Correct.
sidewalk. And so we could have a couple different things where it's, you repair it, and then you submit, your receipt for the work that's been done, the license and bond, cement, flat work, and then you can get a refund to a certain dollar amount, is what I've seen a lot of cities do. It could be, you can say $1,500, you could say $2,500.
So if my repair costs $2,500, then I could get a percentage of that back out of this money.
We could sit there and say, we're going to refund 50%, or we could say 100% up to $2,500. We could do that. So it's just in how you draft a change to the charter and resolution.
So the early bird will get the money.
Yes.
Wait for January.
That's a lot, is that when you have a small pool, it's the people who submit it first that are. Everybody paying a little bit, if it's a penny, and, everybody that travels through King City uses city roads. The country traffic comes down to the gas station, whatever you want to call it, they're helping pay for the upkeep of.
Thank you.
Further questions?
I have another question.
Council President?
So you and I have talked, and I think I've talked to a number of people about a gentleman here who does painting yellow curbs. You see him in the summertime with a yellow vest on, and he's got a little red wagon, and he pulls that around and puts little cones in the road so he doesn't get ran over. He's like 80 or 81 years old. And everything he's been doing, it comes out of his pocket. And I know the paint has cost him $130 so far. At some point, I think it'd be nice to honor him somehow. Person of the year or something, but he's no relative of mine either.
No, thank you. Great idea.
Black. Yes.
Painted yellow.
Yes.
And yellow.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Tyso?
When I brought up these kinds of things before, there was discussion about the city opening itself up for liability, if sidewalk repairs or paying for sidewalk repairs. So I guess my question is to Missy, are we actually opening ourselves up to some kind of liability?
Thanks, Counselor. So the concern is really, if the city knows about a very dangerous sidewalk and doesn't fix them, for example, I think one of the suggestions was to have a citizen group go out and do an inventory. An inventory could be done, but it would be definitely want to be shepherded by the city engineers, because with some objective benchmarks, so that no particular neighborhood or HOA is favored, but it's really based on the condition of the sidewalk. Could be based on age, could be based on thickness. But having a program in place adopted program in place to, work on repairing the sidewalks does provide some immunity. Having a citizen-led initiative to go out and notify the city, you have all of these damaged sidewalks, is probably the worst way to approach it, because it's not a city-adopted policy, it's just, not city-sponsored. So I do think it's a really good plan for the city to adopt a policy to move forward with inventorying and fixing the sidewalks, to provide it with some immunity under the statutes, or Chapter 30.
When is the next, budget meeting?
Like March, I think. right?
Perfect. So is this is just something we can add to the list of items to discuss during those meetings?
If I could add to, as far as finding the stuff to repair, I'm gonna talk about it briefly. Ronnie was able to get us a camera that is attached to a windshield in a car. And we drive around and it identifies roads that have potholes or areas that are deficient. And so the program reports, hey, here's an issue. It cannot do sidewalks yet, but it's going to be able to do sidewalks. Ronnie was in contact with them. So it's something where we could go around and be able to do that with that, where it's AI stuff that goes around and does. Because right now, it basically we identify a sidewalk that's damaged and needs to be fixed, and then we contact we send a letter to the homeowner, hey, this has been identified as damaged and needs to be repaired. We have a certain amount of time to do it, and so that's the process right now.
Councilor Cunningham?
Just a comment that at KCCA, our LARC committee chair, Cheryl Wong, and her husband are starting a list of sidewalks. So you can reach her she's great. I think they walk around and document all the stuff. Just an FYI. So,
Sounds like that might be the information we are not going to seek at the moment until we have a policy in place.
let somebody else gather the list.
Yeah.
Right, outside of the city, right.
Okay. Go ahead and, any further discussion or close this topic? Hearing none. Okay, moving on to the next. Update on community survey and set a work session date. Karen?
Yeah, so I think the last time that we spoke about this, I did send you all, and we did receive it, the Excel sheet with all of the content. I believe we discussed that you guys did want to review it, and as far as it goes, my recommendation, if we want to do a work session or a goal-setting session, would probably be end of February, early March. I know and then we can within the city manager, however we see fit, things like that. But I think that gives us some time past the holidays to kind of sit, refresh, look at the information, and set some goals based around that information.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we had talked about before, and Council, you can correct me if I'm wrong, looking at the poll results as part of a strategic planning session. And I know we had kind of discussed hiring somebody to come in and help us with strategic planning. So maybe it would be beneficial to loop the two, like look at the poll results maybe for 30 minutes, an hour, and then have somebody come in and help us with strategic planning. What did I say we were doing in the parliamentary procedure training sometime in end of February, March? So it would probably be... we have a few different things we need to get on the books for about that time. Parliament.
Working on the rules and procedures from January to February. And then, so realistically, a workshop or training and stuff like that would probably be
End of March?
probably mid-March.
March. So if we, because we're getting a lot in now February and March, so maybe we plan a February additional meeting where we look at poll results and do strategic planning.
So I kind of talked to you about this a little bit, and Aaron a little bit. I think February makes...
Everyone's got their calendars. We've got some more things to look at here.
Original goal-setting session was scheduled for February 4th. I don't think that's going to work, just because the new city manager is coming in. He's gonna need at least 4 weeks to get his feet wet.
Yep.
But probably in March, the first week in March would be a good time to actually sit down and do the goal-setting session. And during that goal-setting session, we can do an hour or two to go through the survey data. All day event. This will be at least 8 hours of us sitting down, talking, having.
And we'll probably have 2 additional council members by then.
Yes, and by then, yeah.
So looking at that first week in March, what would be a good day? I think I could probably make any of those days work.
Spring break.
March, it's always the third week of March. I will.
Pick any day you want.
But the first week of March, any day would be fine for me. Jan, or Councilor Tysa, do you have a preference?
Either Wednesday or Friday.
4th or 5th, or 4th or 6th? Okay, that would be fine with me. Councilor Cunningham? Okay, let's go ahead and let's just do Friday the 6th. Does that work with you, Missy? I don't know if you need to attend.
Happy to be here.
Okay, so Ronnie, did we get that March? We will go with Friday, March 6th for, looking at community poll results and then strategic planning goal setting. 3, 6, 26, it would be like all day.
So it would probably be
Great, so wait, okay, I think that's all we need to schedule for now, yeah? Okay.
Do we have a time?
We're gonna plan all day, so
like it,
probably like 9 to 5, 8 to,
you know, okay.
Ronnie will reach out to, LSC? LSC. Okay, but, so just set that day aside and then we'll get the time nailed down. All day, great. Thank you, Erin. Okay, moving on, we've got requests for proposals for professional auditing services. I didn't know this one.
Anybody?
RFPs for professional auditing? Like, what?
So we are going to see now. The plan is to put the FY 26 audit up for RFP. The FY 25 audit with the existing auditors, and we're going to put the audit up for bid. The timing of posting the bid and getting the responses back will allow us to have a timely audit.
So, at this point, I would kind of like a nod from the city council. I don't think we need a motion for this. Missy, Katie, and I have been working on the RFP. I think there's a few things that we need to tie up on it, but our goal is to December 30th to have it published. And then, I forget the timeline. Yeah, too many dates in my head right now. I believe January, February would.
Isn't it for 30 days? You looked for 30 days.
It might be for 30 days. I can't.
February for selections, maybe March, final decision.
Okay.
If you guys are good with that, we'll.
Yeah, let's keep the audits moving. Katie will be so done when we're on track. All right. Moving along to reports. We got First Step Police Chief's report.
A couple things going on with the police department. Last week we hosted Washington County Attorney's Office, the felony domestic violence attorney, Jada Skinner, part of the new domestic violence investigation unit. We had all of our officers here training for new legislative updates, as well as going through how we can be a lot more thorough out of the gate when we respond to domestic violence scenes in our investigations. So that was extremely beneficial. Anything to add to that?
You know, they also gave us a nice checklist to follow through, because on senior calls, we think about 70 different things. We need to narrow back in, so it helped a lot.
It was definitely good for them. And then Councilor Tyson will like this. In an effort to reduce the amount of paper we use, I've taken on the fun task of trying to take our records digital. So I've been working with Tigard Police, as well as Beaverton Police. I'll be meeting with them next month. Already had a bunch of phone conversations with Tigard in attempting to go as digital as we possibly can at a small place. So we will definitely be able to reduce a substantial amount of paper being used for case files and things that need to be stored digitally. So we live in a digital world, and it's time to move in that direction. All I've got.
Thank you. City Manager's report.
Pretty much covered everything that I was gonna talk about. The only thing that I have to do on top of, talk about your department and training that's gonna be coming on, is, HR Answers is starting. Our policy, it's crazy. Or something that's starting it. Their template. Putting some edits to it, and shouldn't take that long just because it's out and proved and we've edited it. About a 4-hour training. So,
And who all does the train? Who all would be involved in it?
apart from the city,
Yeah,
everybody
including city council.
can if you like, yes.
Nothing else.
We're kind of bored, so thank you. Any further questions, sir? We've got staff reports.
Thank you, council. So I know that the Clare County Disability Department and Authority Engineering Department issue memos telling the three of these departments, building, engineering, planning, trust. And so I can kind of just give you a very high level overview of what's going on in our disability department. They've been really they have departments issue somewhere between 60 and 70 building permits. With that comes foundation inspections, housing inspections, electrical inspections. The engineer purview is more public improvements, so city engineering goes out and inspects stormwater catch basins, curbs, streets, hydrant, infrastructure. And so they are very, very busy. There's teams of folks out there doing these inspections. So yeah, we're staying busy. Yeah, invoices, holding companies, and they make your head spin to report. You have just a few points that I would like to bring to the council from the planning department. The planning commission met last week to hold hearing to make a recommendation to the city council for the local wetlands inventory, which has been on the docket for almost 2 years now. And so you will be holding a hearing on that as well next month. I've been working hard on writing staff reports for compliance for the annexation that's in the works for the Bonneville Power Administration corridor and 137th. And then right now I'm also working on a grant application to the Oregon State Marine Board, which we've heard some support for earlier today. I do ask the council in your authority or in your position as public citizens, if you do support this project, please send letters of support to my email. Again, as private citizens, or let people know that this is a project in the works. This will be the second Oregon State Marine Board grant that the city has submitted for the paddle launch. We were awarded one back in 2024. We got our reimbursement by the skin of our teeth, and that kind of emboldened me to go out and try to do it again. And so we actually, Aaron and I met with Mark Fitzsimmons, who works over for the Tualatin River Keepers earlier this week. He brought a bunch of big signs that he wants to put down at the park for the Tualatin National River Trail, which would go in once we start putting in all these public improvements. We've got letters of support from different agencies, Metro, Washington County, Tualatin, and I've also received some correspondence from who also support projects. So it's pretty exciting. That grant application is due on January 5th, and it's about ready to be submitted. So, fingers crossed. And that's all I have for you.
Question.
Council President?
You said just by the skin of our teeth, the last grant. What were we missing?
So when we were originally awarded that grant in October 2024, and I met with the Oregon State Marine Board. They had a board meeting, and I defended the grant. I kind of sold it to them, and they said it sounds like a great project, but you have access to the land where the kayak launch and to be. Currently, it's not a city, which doesn't quite matter because what they really wanted was to secure land use agreements or a lease of some sort or something with the Bonneville Power Administration. And as you know, negotiating with the federal government can take some time. And so the deadline for completion of all of our deliverables, including that land use agreement, was set for the end of June 2025. Come June 2025, we were still in negotiations with EPA. Things were moving along. They supported the project, but there was a bunch of things that were on the shelf, environmental reviews, cultural surveys, just kind of checking all the boxes that the city had performed on time, but the EPA hadn't reviewed on time. So I went to the Oregon State Marine Board and asked for an extension of the deadline. And they extended the deadline very thankfully to November 1st. And they said, okay, if you have the land use agreement in place, you submit your reimbursement request and all the invoices and necessary documents by November 1st, you should be able to accommodate you. Something to do with their fiscal carryover. They couldn't go anywhere past that. And on October 28th was when we got the executed agreement from EPA. And so I was getting by our teeth. I made 2 days and put everything together, got all the invoices, compiled everything, filled out the reimbursement request. I sent it over to the Oregon State Marine Board. They said, okay, great, we'll review it. Didn't hear anything back from them I still haven't heard anything back directly from them, but then, Mira came to me in my office and she said, hey, Max, what is this check for $70,000? And I said, oh, I know that number. That's the Oregon State Marine Board grant. So we got it.
Good.
At the very last minute. So I don't foresee that being an issue this time around because we already have that agreement in place, and that was the only condition that they put on the original grant was that we.
Nice job, Matt. And as I recall, the mayor and I were talking about maybe having an employee of the month award, and I recommend that.
Okay.
So the grant you're looking for now, are you getting very much input from citizens?
So far, I've received 5 or 6 email and letter correspondence. It's roughly on par with what I received last year, but I said I'm just all the friends, talk to your friends.
It would be nice to see maybe a copy of one of them so that I can copy it.
I can send you some.
There you go. Please.
I have a question.
Councilor Cunningham?
Do they have to live in King City?
No.
So my friend that paddles with me from Portland could send a letter.
Sure.
Perfect. Will you send me the recommendation for what it should say, and I'll just, I'll type it up and she'll sign it?
Sure.
Thanks.
Council President?
I attended that planning commission meeting, and you talked about being asked to join an advisory committee. RAC, I think it was. Can you talk about that?
That's correct. So with the city working on this local wetlands inventory over the last 2 years and going through the whole process of master planning fairly recently, I was reached out to by the legislature, who has created a rulemaking advisory committee for wetlands legislation and development and regulations. And so I said, oh, yeah, you know, sure, I'll apply and see what happens, and then they select me. So I'm one of 17 members of this rulemaking advisory committee across the whole state, and so far I've held one meeting and, you know, try to give my input since we're going through the process currently, of adoption, and I've kind of witnessed firsthand the benefits and the cons of the current system.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful.
That's great for us.
That is great. I have to say, I don't have any comments on what you've shared, but I very much enjoyed these being a part of our packet and seeing ahead of time, like, what was already going to be in your report, because I'm one that likes to read and digest, and then when you give us all your numbers and good things, I'm like, yes, I read that. Thank you. So thank you for putting these in there.
I will give Ronnie the credit for that one. He was the one who pushed those.
Probably because I told him, I really like to see things written. Thank you. So thank you all for having that in there. Okay, more staff reports.
Just got one thing, tentatively, it was officially official, I'll let everyone know, but February 7th, on STEM event, we're meeting with, U.S. Bank, FBI, KCCA, kind of incorporate Somersville folk as well. United States, KCCA Day, like, let's just make this work. But once it's official, I'll let people know, that way we can start posting it and putting up flyers and get the word out.
Great, awesome. Erin, did you have something for us? Okay.
A couple different things. So I have been working on revamping the community talk newsletter, and so we've got that. I do have a preliminary template for you guys to look at. It's just a bunch of jumbled words, but you can kind of see where the images would go. You can kind of see the general design. Very simplified. We can add pages, we can add a calendar, we can add a bunch of stuff to it. This is kind of just my idea of what I might brainchild for it. If we like it, I would like to get this out in February, and I've been discussing with Ronnie about pricing to get these physically mailed out to everybody in the city. Thank you, Courtney. And so that's kind of generally where I'm at, and you guys can take a look at it. And it'll also get emailed, and it'll get posted on social media, so we'll get as many eyes on it as possible. Like I said, it's a general template, what I'm designed to. So it could be spaces, not just for the mayor's message, but the council messages, if each one of you wants to write their own messages, I'm happy to add pages for you. Please, everybody, like, I will have plenty of room for everyone. Great. I do also have a press release ready for our announcement for city manager once that whole process is buttoned up, so that is ready to go out. And then also piggybacking off of Max, just saying the letters of support for the kayak and paddle launch, we had a great meeting with Wallace River Keepers. It was really informational. And so that is out on social media. We've gotten good feedback there for people just wanting to support additionally. So just reiterating to get some more support for that. And then the farmers market is actually something that's been on our list. So I would love to chat with anybody who would be interested in initiating a farmers market. I would love to talk about that. I've been looking into it. So I think it would be, personally, I think it would be a great addition. So I would be happy to hear any conversation about that as well. So,
Great. Sounds like you have a taker. Well,
I have ideas. May I speak?
Councilor Cunningham?
I have ideas about that. So if we could talk about that. And then I've been in a market in Tualatin last year, so I've experienced it as a vendor.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Thank you.
And then my last final thing on my list is, I worked closely with Mira and Bonnie, and we got the finance department webpage up to date with all of the memos, so you should be able to navigate that more clearly. Everything should be updated. You should be able to see the PDF.
So like I said, it's all on the finance page, so you should be, able to access all that now.
When do we get login info for that? I don't think I've seen it. Ronnie?
Sorry, what?
Login info for Cassell?
It's on my to-do list.
Gotcha, thank you.
But as for now, on our website, on the city website, you can go and you can see all of the monthly memos and all of the budgets and everything. So it's all right there and it's updated.
I have a question. So what language are these written in? What software package did you use?
This is Latin.
Yes,
Latin.
good old fashioned, more mixed them, so like I said, I will be, if we're happy with that, I'll be starting to actually create content.
And I know you mentioned it, but this will come out in February?
That's my goal.
Or late January for February, or?
If I can get late January, earlier the better, so.
Looks nice.
Ronnie, do you have, oh, sorry, Councilor Cunningham?
Erin, I really appreciate seeing the city page on Facebook. It's really nice to see that come up. And then what do we need to do to move this forward? Do we need our permission from anything?
Yeah, if you guys want an additional page, like I said, this is a general idea, like if, Rachel, if you and I wanted to work together on creating some content for it, I would love to have all of your voices in it, so you guys can have your own pages, you can just do what you want with your goals for the quarter, things like that, so.
Thank you.
Can I suggest maybe just emailing Erin suggestions or recommendations that you
I
might
just
have?
wondered if she needed anything from us.
Okay.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
Being quiet.
Ronnie?
Yeah, I think we talked a lot about the stuff that I've already done. So, draft parliament, where we hired to do revisions in charter and code, pull out, and to make a new document for you guys. That's probably be coming to you in March. I have a meeting, I was just checking my email, I have a meeting with I have a meeting with the senators about the post office, January 5th, it looks like. So yeah, that's all I have for right now.
Great, thank you. All right, and now we have mayors and councilors' reports. We'll go ahead and start with Councilor Aditi.
This has been a most pleasant evening. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but we are way ahead of schedule, so I'm going to talk for about half an hour. No, I won't. As far as the farmer's market, I met with the gal who runs the farmer's market up by Harbor Freight last summer, and she said they'd be willing to do it down here like on a Wednesday night. I said, no, that wouldn't be acceptable. It'd have to be like on a weekend. So we probably would have to find another manager to do that. And I'm not thrilled with that farmer's market anyway. I don't think it provides the kind of things we really would want. And secondly, some of my activist friends in Portland wonder why we're not naming roads after Indians out here. And so I sent you an email. Did you get that?
I read it.
Okay.
I was reading my exchange, yeah.
So I talked to the people at Homes, New Homes, and they've said they've already put the street names in for phase 1 and 2, which is being built now. But they said when it comes to the Charlene development, they would accept our input. So that would be a way to satisfy people that want to make sure we're representing Native Americans out here. That's it for right now.
Great.
Okay.
Is Arditi
No.
American name?
But this is Latin. I don't know if you know this, Aaron. This is Latin.
Council President.
Thank you. I'm going to summarize everything because I don't want to be guilty of going on and on. So we attended the KCCA meeting last Tuesday. The biggest challenge they've had has been that swimming pool, and they're about to get a license for it from the health department. They're probably still not going to open that up until, I bet, February. Anyway. I also attended a 3-hour-long meeting of the Charter Review Committee, along with Jan Tyso, and that was very informative. They're really, really working their tail off to try to get something to present to us by January. Is that when the meeting is supposed to be? And then went to the planning commission meeting on the 10th, and Max has already told you about that. Oh, yeah. So I went to the Garden Villa HOA meeting, and nobody was there. And then I attended the Troutdale City Council meeting via Zoom. And I noticed they wear suit and ties at their meetings. There was a state senator and a representative from Oregon House. And they talked about the largest issues that they have in Troutdale, which are the I-5 bridge, homelessness, and affordable housing. And Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. What item?
Okay, so besides the Charter Review Committee, which they work very hard, so I'll just throw my
2 cents worth in. I went to by Zoom, thank goodness, the Washington County Community Development Block Grant meeting on the 11th, and there was a presentation on the Fair Housing Council of Oregon paired audit testing. And what that essentially is they send people out into the field blindly to apply for apartments. And they're all kind of given a script to work with, and then they call it a paired one because they will have 2 people with different profiles go to a single apartment unit and ask to apply for becoming a renter, and based on the answers or how they're treated, they have 3 outcomes: does not support bias, does support bias, and inconclusive. So there are some improvements over the last 2 years, over 2 years ago. One thing that they are doing outreach to landlords and advocacy groups and some financial assistance in the form of streamlined processing, so they're not really giving money out. Portland landlords must now, they have passed an ordinance where landlords must accept applicants on a first-come, first-served basis to avoid picking and choosing applicants, which by picking and choosing, it makes it easier to use bias. And the other interesting thing is that the biggest group that gets biased against are those who their source of income are housing vouchers. That's
like 20% at least get denied. We don't have a rental unit available, even if they do,
and other
kinds of things, or your deposit will be twice as much as somebody else who asks for it. They have various and sundry ways of doing that. Then today I went out to the Sherwood Arts Center to the League of Oregon Cities Regional Presidents meeting. There was a slide presentation on the fact that municipalities are not prepared to fund their services as we move forward, which has a lot to do with when we passed Measure 50 and Measure 5 years ago, which capped property taxes. And so there needs to be some kind of reform and other ways for cities to raise revenue, because it's kind of like the Malthusian thing about population. Eventually, we're going to not be able to deliver the expected services. And so they do have municipal financial literacy classes. They're $59 a person. I looked online today to find out how much they cost for LOC, which to me sounds fairly reasonable. And then we just sort of had a roundtable discussion about communication, how we as cities reach out to
are public. And so a lot of social media platforms are being used, some door hangers and print newsletters. One speaker brought up their local grocery store of putting their newsletter and posters at the grocery store because almost everybody in this small community goes to that grocery store. So I'm immediately thinking grocery outlet here that we should talk to them about, the poll that you did is one thing that I particularly have in mind, that if there were paper polls at grocery outlet with a box to collect people's answers while they're shopping, and those polls take, 3 minutes to do, that maybe we would get a more balanced poll. But that's just, and some of them, the mayors do little podcasts on their Facebook page or YouTube. Some of them are pretty creative, and and some use TikTok, and I forget what else. But anyway, but that was kind of a fun meeting. Yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilor Cunningham?
Okay, your goal was 8 o'clock, so 8:01, so I'll go fast. So, first I have a quick little statement. Before a recent meeting was called to order, I expressed my opinion about a resident. It was terribly inappropriate, especially in such a public setting. I'm sincerely sorry for my actions. I appreciate the person who brought this to my attention. Contacted the Ethics Committee to self-report. They did not open a file because I did not mention a name, and the person did not have any matters before the council. So I just want you to know I was honored to be appointed to this seat and to work with this mayor and this council, but especially all of you. It's just been a great feeling for me to work with the residents of King City. So that's my little statement. I went to a JPAC meeting. They're working on climate change issues. I would like you to all look at, next, this is probably you. In June, I did this quick little report about what to do on Prince Albert, where we could make Prince Albert right-hand turn only.
Is that on East Bend?
Yes. So I'd like to put that on our street list.
Unfortunately, East Bend is not one of our streets.
Well,
So we don't have authority or jurisdiction to put any blockages on East Bend, even though it is.
And we can't block it on Prince Albert.
No, because it's a Washington County jurisdictional.
And we can't get special consideration from the, anyway, I'd like us to figure out how to do this.
I can ask Washington County.
Maybe they'll help us. And then, so I wanted to make sure that that was on our list of things to do. There's a couple of just really expensive ideas if we could play around with Beef Bend, Max.
It's just not our street.
Okay, you'll ask.
But I will ask about Prince Albert and putting a median to where it's right and right out.
Right out, so off of Beef Bend, you could turn left in. Ronnie has the packet. So, he gave it back to me, but I'm happy to hand you my packet tonight.
I'll inquire for you.
Thank you. And then the last thing I want to ask about, last month we talked about parks, right? Pocket parks and developing parks now before the land is taken up. And I wonder if the mayor would be willing to appoint a special little committee, because you have the power to do that. That's maybe I don't know, is it a subcommittee of planning, or would it not be? Because we do have a park expert at the end of the row that might be able, willing, and
We can talk about it.
there you go. That's it for me.
So how about I take that wonderful suggestion and have a discussion with Councilor Judy about what might be a good.
Thank you very much. I'm done. 8:04. Woo!
All right, so I guess it's me. I'm going to keep mine as brief as possible. There was mention from Gretchen about it being our 60th anniversary next year, which I was not thinking about, and that happening sometime in June. And I'm wondering if we can just make our 4th of July thing encompass that for versus
Oh.
having something in June, July. I don't know. So something we should think about.
Excellent idea.
Anyway, we've also, myself and Missy and Chief City Manager have been in negotiations since, basically since our last meeting. And those have been going well. We've spent a lot of time going, I think having really good discussions, and so that's been, it's been really great to be a part of. Yeah. One other thing that we need to discuss, we had an email from Missy. There's been an issue raised of a potential conflict of interest on behalf of Missy. It was recommended that we seek outside counsel to advise us on whether we should supply written consent to continue our agreement with Missy. I have sought outside legal advice and have not yet been able to obtain outside legal advice. So at this point, I would, it is ultimately a council decision. I would like to provide written consent to allow Missy to remain our city attorney through her exit date. So I will be doing that.
Probably just act on consensus.
Okay. Consensus?
I'm good.
On that, okay. Yeah,
I'm good.
okay. We really appreciate you, and you have done an amazing job for us, and we are lucky to have you, and we are lucky to have you continue the attorney. So I will, is that in writing? Okay. And then the other thing that I glossed over unintentionally at the very start when we did appoint our new council president is we do have 2 council seats vacant, and we need to discuss timeline for posting and interviews. Another, get out your calendar moment. Ronnie, have you looked at, because we do have a couple holidays that we cannot count. Did you look at timeline for posting? And what our dates would look like?
Yesterday, no.
Okay. So if we were to put it into the Oregonian by 10 a.m., it would be live Friday.
Holidays
Count?
No, excluding holidays.
So we've got 2 big holidays coming up too.
Yeah, so, if one is live on 119. Would we?
Double check my calendar. January 19th, 2026, cutoff time. I did not count for the 24th, the 25th, and the 1st. So that.
I guess that was my question, is what days technically count as a holiday that we would not include in our calculation?
So if we, it'd be correct to go Fly Friday. So actually,
30 days?
yeah, so if I do it Friday.
And we don't include the first day, correct? So count would start on the 22nd? So are we not counting Christmas Eve? I think our code says so just Christmas and New Year's.
So would it just be New Year's Day?
What about Martin Luther King Day?
I don't think we get that far. Do we? Oh, the 19th. Yeah, no, you're correct. So we wouldn't count that to either, right?
Four extra days,
Well, the code, the code states it has to be open for 30 days. And after the 30th, after the 30th day, no applications will be accepted.
Oh, okay.
But that's a minimum of 30 days, isn't it?
No.
Just,
It's, hold on, let me find it for you here.
At the end of the 30-day period, receipt of application
If they could
wanna
just
know
say
what
hard 30 days.
pulling out holidays.
And is it specific about, like, what a holiday is? So would we include January 1st as a holiday or not? I mean, is New Year's Day a holiday?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so Christmas, New Year's Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day are all in there.
So the publication date would be February 19th.
So then count would start
Count that.
22nd. Wait, not, well, isn't it, it's regular days. Regular calendar, yeah, okay.
Regular date.
1, 2.
Which day did Randy Olson?
Well, it doesn't matter when he resigned, it just matters when we post it to a publication. That's when the count starts.
30
Oh.
days from that.
Oh, okay.
So starting on the 20th, 1, 2, 3.
I didn't know if there was a requirement when there's,
I'm seeing January 21st. Yeah,
You can err by one day.
that has to be 30 days.
I have the 21st. Mayor has the 21st.
So are you starting it on the 20th?
I'm
Yeah.
starting it on the,
I added 33 days to the.
Well,
oh, because you understand. Okay.
Say,
No.
and yes,
January 20th.
January 22nd, right?
but
What day- what
when you
day-
count it,
The 20th is a 30-day with those holidays.
Best to count it tomorrow.
It's a Monday.
I'm getting the 21st is counting 30 days. Because we don't want to add 33 days because we're including the 20th.
oh, right. I have,
It would be the 21st.
So then no sooner than 5 days after that would be so
That's correct. There's a 5-day waiting period.
the week of January 26th evening or later, we could do interviews.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be on the 5th day, it just has to be after 5 days.
It has to be with 5 days and beyond.
Too bad it doesn't align with that meeting, huh? Okay, so last week of January, looking for an evening to do a special session for interviews. I could do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Um,
Yeah?
so-
Yeah?
any day for me.
Any. Ronnie, you're not here Mondays? Tuesday, so Tuesday the 27th, would we want to? On 27th?
Like at 6 p.m.?
All right, we scheduled so many things today, you guys, well done. That is all I have. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand. Motion passes 5-0, meeting adjourned, 8:13.
Nice job.
Record.
Everybody's
happy.